up, y'all? Once again, what's up, y'all? I want to welcome everybody to the Marriage Podcast. We did this for an hour. Apologize for coming late. I had some equipment issues that was really getting under my skin. So next week, next week, I won't have that problem. Next week, I won't have that problem. I promise. Next week, I will not have this issue because because I'm going to do something different. Amen. I'm going to do something totally different. I just didn't feel like taking the time to go into other equipment to get stuff going the next week. That's what I'm going to do. Have to fix the issue. But I took the shortcut route to go ahead and get started tonight. Uh, want to give a big shout out to all podcast hosts and owners. Also want to give a big shout out to my future podcast co-hostess, uh, uh, the First Lady of WKCJ Radio, my wife, Minister Karen Heitch, and then the Douglases, Kendall and Michelle Douglas. So every first uh, Thursday of the month, which we'll kick it off this first Thursday in July. But every first Thursday in the month, uh, every first Thursday every month, it will be us four at a different location, uh, and we'll have a good, as they say, as Wendy Williams said, a good hot topic. Amen. And we will have all the kinks, all the issues out the way. Where I'm investing in equipment, all that, so we can sound good, look good, all that and more. But to God be the glory, y'all. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. Amen. And without Him, it couldn't be us. So, uh, I am the Rev, and I am the Rev, and I am the Rev, and I am the podcast host with all the other Thursdays. Hold on, podcast host and all of them, So again, I'm very grateful for the people that's going to come on and be a part of this podcast, and things like that. But I've been doing podcasts for a while now. I had stopped and picked it back up already more, and so I thank God He gives me the knowledge and the topics to talk about on the marriage podcast. The marriage podcast is called How to Keep Your Marriage Strong. It's for people that are thinking about getting married, people that's already married want to strengthen their marriage. Let me say this: marriage is a good thing. You just have to put the work into it. Getting married is a good thing, but you have to build a foundation and then build a house on top of the foundation. But the foundation has to be right. Uh, Somebody tried to challenge me and say the rules are the same in relationship and marriage, and it's not. Okay, so so you know, but I just, I'm very excited about doing this podcast. You know, and you know, it's a challenge to do every Thursday, but I'm here for the challenge. I'm here for the topics. I'm here for the comments and concerns because you never know. You might have five people, and out of those five people, you might get one person that says, "Hey, you just helped my marriage." And things like that. So many times people want to take the easy road and and get divorced instead of fighting. And I asked the question, and I asked the question, and the people that answered it, it was one guy, he's married, but the other, this girl I call my sister now, she's not. But watch this, y'all. Watch this. Watch this. If if you're separated, should you be seeing other people while you're separated? Should you see other people while you're separated? And I'm gonna get to my subject, my topic. But should you see other people while you're separated? And my answer was no. Why not take that time while you're separated and reflect about the things that happened inside your marriage? Take that time to reflect. Take that time to sit back. Take that time to kind of analyze and think about what did you do. Watch this. What did you do? What part you played in where this separation came about? Okay. So, and I meant to get my other phone so I can kind of um um so 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 because so many times separation does not mean that it has to lead to divorce, but you also have to understand it gives too many opportunities when you are separated. When you are separated, when you separate from each other, it gives opportunity. It gives somebody to think that they have an opportunity. And then you see, as as people say, you see this guy and he's got big muscles and all that, he's fine to you and all that. Or you see that woman with the Coke bottle shape and she's got everything in the right places for you, and she blink at you or say your name, this and that. Now temptation has came. Temptation has came. So how do you avoid that? You have to understand we cannot get to separation. We can't get to separation. We can't get to that part of it. And we definitely don't want to get to divorce. One thing that the Rev will always say to anybody that I do not encourage, or you will never hear me say, you might as well get a divorce. I, I am that person that says, I want you to, as being married, I want you guys to fight and fight and fight and fight for your marriage. It's worth it. It's worth it. You're gonna have disagreements. You're gonna get upset. I'm getting to my subject, y'all, my topic. You're gonna have disagreements. You're gonna have problems. If anybody says they don't have any problems in their marriage or disagreements in their marriage or things like that, are they really telling you the truth? See, one thing about marriage, you have to be honest about it. If you're hurting, say you hurt. If you're not happy, say you're not happy. Lay it on the table. Anybody that play Uno, anybody that play spades, one thing that they'll tell you, you got to lay all them cards on the table. Make it known. And so many times, watch this. You know, maybe this is God sending me this direction. I don't know. Watch this. Men, a lot of times, a lot of men like to curl up. A lot of men like to curl up and be quiet and leave and still ain't dealt with the situation. It's been known that you should never take any problems that you have not solved to bed. They need to be solved. They need to be fixed. They need to be worked out. All that and more. If it's dealing with bills, if it's dealing with children, if it's dealing with something that your wife didn't like, something that your husband didn't like, whatever it is, you guys might have been out. It's something that one of you all didn't like. You might have been at an event and you like something you didn't like, but you never discussed it. You never discussed it. You never talked about it. You never had a discussion on it at all. You know, what are we not going to do in front of the children? What are we not going to say in front of the children? If you're a person that turn up, you might not want to turn up in front of your children. You know, if you smoke them left hand things, you might be that person that need to do that in front of your children. Because let me say this, and I said this to the group that I was with the other day. I said the small things can destroy a marriage. The small things. You know why? Because it begins to build to be big. It begins to be it becomes it builds to be big when it was small at first. It was small at first. Also, I want to mention before I move on, you can now you can now catch one episode that I just put out there on Spotify. Yeah, to tell you which one it is, just go on Spotify, and I think I titled it "How to Keep Your Marriage Strong." But but the small things that that is small to you might end up being big to the other person, to your partner, to your spouse. You know what I'm saying? You know, uh, what the husband or the wife, okay, say for instance, it might bother women a little bit more than it do the men. There's a basket that you should put your dirty clothes in, but when in the bedroom or in the some people have them in the bathroom, or some people even take it to the washroom. But watch this, you instead you just drop it on the floor, and it be now. Here's the thing, you know, when do you say something? Do you say something the first time, or do you say something the second time, or or really you really should say something before you get mad? Before you get mad, you should have that communication level, that safe level in your marriage to say to you that, hey, I need to talk to you about something. And you can even say, you can even the let me say this. When you have discussions and when you communicate, the approach is important as well. The way that you come at your spouse. If you come at your spouse like a rolling fire, your spouse might add to that fire, and now you both come like rolling fire. You both come like rolling fire. And now there's a big explosion. A big explosion. But if you come a certain way, you know, then you might get a certain reaction. Hey, babe, can I talk to you for a minute? Hey, you know, it kind of concerns me and bothers me that when I go in the bedroom or I go in the bathroom and you take your clothes off and you put them on the floor, can you really kind of help me out and put them in the basket? See how that works? But the flip side, you say, look, man, every time I go in the bedroom, every time I go in the bedroom, every time I go in the bathroom, your clothes on the floor. Can you stop doing that? Now you're yelling. Now you're upset. You was upset before, but you came in a calm manner. It might have made you upset, but see, we have to have that. It sounds funny, but we also need to learn the countdown. The countdown method helps too. I'm mad. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing. Your breathing is, oh my God. Your breathing is important just as well. If you got an iPhone watch, your iPhone watch will help you with that, with your breathing. Now I'm relaxed, now I'm calm, now I could go to him or I could go to her. Let me see something that would probably upset a man. I don't know. Maybe I'll tell you one. Men like clean cars inside and out. So you take your husband's car, okay? And you know your husband's like so much amount of gas in his car. But you bring it back on E, but you didn't take it in E. And now he gets in it and then now he's gotta stop to go get gas before he goes to his destination. You see what I'm saying? When you should have took time out to put that gas back, especially when you know he's going somewhere. Okay, so he's upset, he's mad. He calls, or when he gets back home, he's a ball of fire. Now you a ball of fire. But if I count down, if I calm down, yeah, it's just she put no gas in the car. Yeah, he didn't put the clothes in the basket. Yeah, he didn't. He didn't let the toilet stool down. Yeah, uh, he left the keys on the table. Yeah, he didn't make the toilet paper, but he replaced it. He didn't put it the right way. Now, you do have to look at it like that. You do have to look at it like that. So the small things in your marriage can if you don't handle it right, it can turn into big things. That's why anything that you look when it concerning marriage, somewhere in there, brothers and sisters, married people, somewhere in there, they're gonna talk about communication. Your marriage, I promise you that your marriage will flat iron if you don't communicate. It's so amazing to my brain, to my eyes, to my ears, my heart, and my soul that you will go to somebody else and talk to them about what you should be talking to your spouse about. You'll go to your boys and you say, man, this woman just gets on my last nerve. Man, every time I turn around, she's mad at me. Every time she fussing at me about this and that. First of all, no man or woman should be fussing at each other. You're not each other's parents. That's why it's good to know your spouse. If you talk, and something that you have to let me drop this in your lap, you can't change your spouse. Stop trying. If you're that person, and understand this, you're not your wife's daddy, and you're not your husband's mom. You his spouse. You're his wife. So there's going to be some accent, not telling. There's going to be some listening and not responding. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe the Lord sent me this direction. I got a whole lesson right here. All these things, if you want your marriage to be strong, you want your marriage to stay strong. I look at couples. I know, some couples that, and some couples can put on a good front. I don't know. But check this out. I got a friend of mine. I call her my daughter. Her name is Precious. And she's got her husband, Leon. I've had him on my radio show before. Precious used to be my co-host and all that. So these two had a beautiful wedding. We didn't make excuse me now. Jesus, every time I get ready to start my podcast, stuff happens. We didn't go to the reception, but we went to the wedding. Awesome, big old fancy church, all that and more. Well, Precious is like a motivational speaker, and now actually her and Leon have a book. I really want to get them on the show, but you know, I just wonder how do they handle issues when they come up. See, sometimes you have to understand people handle issues better than others. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew it. I knew it. Hold on. Sometimes people will can handle things better than others. Me and my wife, we can handle things better than others. Now, it wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that with me and her. You know, um, 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 we didn't. I ain't gonna say it's always been like that. You know, and things like that because it wasn't. And so knowing that, but some people can start off like that and make things like that much easier. Thank you. Much easier than others. I want to do a wedding. I want to do a marriage seminar. I want to do a marriage seminar with couples. And I don't want to be the only one speaking. I want to bring some other people in and let them speak. I want to bring couples in and talk to other couples. I want to get couples that say, here's how we solve the problems our conflict resolutions, how we talk about it. Let me tell y'all something. Your problems have to be talked about. Your problems have to be talked about. Your you got to come, and then not only just talked about, but solutions, solutions, solutions. If somebody tells you, now if your spouse lets you know that, I can't talk to you for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? I can't talk to you for whatever reason. I can't find my own self. Hold on. For whatever reason, then, you know, that's a problem. That's a problem, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. You know? See, some couples have to understand you got to be the example for other couples. What if a couple that's with you, what if somebody's in a relationship and they hang out with you and they thinking about getting married, but all they see is the bad side of your marriage. And they say, no, we ain't doing this. I ain't doing this. Let me see. Hold on. I'm trying to monitor my page. One page. That's what I'm trying to do. Hold on. Let's switch it. Do you hear what I'm saying? You never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. You never know who's watching you. Yeah. You never know who's watching. And to be honest with you, there's couples that I watch. There is couples that I watch. Yeah. And some people been commenting. I'm sorry. Michael. He says exactly. Your husband or your wife needs comes before anybody else. One thing I want you all to understand in a marriage, that's what I want to talk about. That was really what I want to talk about tonight on my lesson, boundaries, priorities. What is your priority? What are your priorities? Okay, understand. You got to go to work. You got to attend church, some kingdom. You got to get some time to God. Okay, those three things. Okay, but number four should be giving my spouse some time. See, I'm gonna tell y'all something for free. One thing that hurts a lot of marriages is this. You think of playing. You be doing this. You doing this the whole time. The whole time. You looking in the phone, or you're watching TV, or you're on your computer. When you should say, let me push all that to the side and let me spend some time with my spouse. Let me take some time out with my spouse. You know what I'm saying? Because it's important. Your spouse might be hurting from something. Somebody might have made your spouse mad. Have you ever stopped and said, hey, babe, how was your day? How was your day? Your spouse was out and about. Like to me, today I went to the eye doctor to have my left eye checked from my surgery. You know, uh, 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 you know, one thing I can say, it's hot outside where I live. I can also tell her there was a different doctor that I seen today. You see what I'm saying? Sharing things, talking about things. That I guarantee you, if you look at the statistics and you look at the numbers of people that communicate constantly, I ain't saying argue. I ain't saying have disagreement. I'm talking about communicating where it's pleasant, where it's pleasant. Me and my wife last night we watched a TV series that comes on. Okay, Me and her watching. Okay. Um, and we kind of talked about it. We kind of talked about it. the girl that the girl that was harmed by the police. Okay, we talked about that. We've talked about other things that we have seen and heard and all that. And here's the thing: don't be that one that always wanna talk and want your husband or want your spouse attention, but when it's your turn, you not giving it to them. You have to ask yourself this: is my communication solid? Is my attention span solid? That's the person that you're with. And see, the thing about it, your spouse. Y'all pray for me because this voices. Whew, your spouse is the number. Okay, let me put this thing in order. Woo, thank you, Jesus. Your there's God. Okay, this one priorities kick in. There's God. There's the spouse, and there's children, and then grandchildren, and the rest of the family. Never, men and women, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, never put anybody before your spouse. Never. If you say okay, if you say to somebody invites you to maybe go, let's say bowling, and they say, man, I'm going bowling tonight, me and the fellas, you know, uh, you gonna meet us there? Now, the brother might say, man, you weak and this and that, man, you gotta answer to her. Man, if you want to keep a happy home, that's what you might have to do. See, that same person that's maybe not married, not even in a relationship, talking that noise to you, ain't gonna be that person that you might have to leave and it ain't gonna let you in. You at the hotel. But here's the thing, bro. Let me check with my wife. Let me check with my husband. Even if they at work, send them a text. If they can't, call them. Hey, babe, did we have any plans? Was there anything going on tonight? Instead of just saying, yeah, I'm going bowling. The other last Thursday, I had a family member in town. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I had a family member in town, uh, and so I went to go see him and my cousin from Macon, Georgia. But I went with he was on my other cousin's house, so I went on my other cousin's house, and we all hung out. Well, my wife knew where I was. Number one, we didn't have any plans. So what she did was, now this is a little bit different. What she did was, her friend cooked a meal for her, and she went over there. I ain't got a problem with that. I ain't got no problem with that. You know, your the way I just put it in order, the way it should be. People gonna talk about you. People gonna run your name in the ground. All that and more, but that's okay. That's all right. Let them do it. But guess who's got a happy home? You. Hold on. Yeah. Guess who? Because I mean, number one, people that's not married don't understand. Set priorities in your marriage, and you won't run into the problems that you run into. Is it not on? Hold on, y'all. I gotta look at something. Yeah, 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 yeah. I guess I should tell them. Okay. Hold on, y'all. Okay, I'm sorry. So we have to understand that, because a happy home on both ends will make things better. Will make things better. And a lot of times, even like I said, if your spouse comes to you and say, "Hey, I don't feel like you show me enough attention," don't let that go on one ear and come out the other. Let that soak. Let that stop right there. Let that marinate inside. And then your next follow up question should be, so, you know, you're saying we don't spend enough time, and you don't show me. I'm sorry, you don't show me enough attention. Okay, you don't show me enough attention, right? You got to deal with that. You got to talk about that. That's another priority. Keeping, doing date night, and let me say this about date night. Date night ain't always got to be going out. Date night can be where you and your spouse are, how they say Netflix and chill? Netflix and chill. Get some steaks, make some tacos, you know, sticking something in the oven that both of you guys like and all that. Sometimes me and my wife, one of the things that me and her have a huge problem with, some of the things that she like, I might not like. What I like, she might not like. And sometimes I'll be like, Lord, do they have a restaurant where it kind of can satisfy both? She's got hers, I got mine. You know, and let me tell you something. It's important to me. If my wife said, I really didn't like that, that even marinates in my head. My wife liked this one particular restaurant that I don't. But you know what I'll do? Watch this. I will tell her this because I know it's her favorite one of her favorite restaurants. It seems like that is small, right? But you know what I'll do? Okay, this restaurant that she likes, which is Golden Corral. Golden Corral. I will make it work for me. It's a buffet. I will make it work for me. Okay? And she'll do the same for me. You know, I will make something work for me. And thank God it's a buffet because I do have choices. So I might go in there and just do me a salad and some chicken and a roll. I ain't got to get everything else. Because really, if you're making your own salad, unless the stuff is stale, you can't go wrong. A roll, you can't go wrong. Chicken, unless it's dried up or been old, you can't go wrong with that. You can't. You can't. You can't. I'm telling y'all, I will say this every time: marriage is a good thing, but you gotta put the work in. You don't want unwanted surprises. And when I say unwanted surprise, that means that surprise is not good. You see what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. Marriage is not built on money. Marriage is built on trust, for one, commitment. Once that, here it is. Look, okay, before the preacher did anything, you were like this. But when the preacher got done and introduced y'all was like this. Guess what? You're one. Now, here's the thing that I also want to talk about. Um, I think I might. Yeah, I ain't got much time left. But here's the thing I want to talk about too, is that, and somebody said it the other day, if you don't love yourself, how can you love others? Let that soak. Let that marinate. If I don't love myself, how can I give love to somebody else? Can I say something else? You have to get used to us and not you. You got to get used to sharing. One thing that I can say, one of my biggest things, one of the things, I'm gonna say it's big, that I had to get used to when my wife asked me where I'm going. I really want to say I'm grown. I don't have to tell you where I'm going. But you know what? I took it as she being concerned. You know, because if something happens, even though they got the new technology with the phones and things like that, but if something happens, she can say, well, he did go that direction. He did go to the church, or he did go to his friend's house. You see what I'm saying? He went to go see his brother. He went to go do this and that. This is what he went to go do. Because he said he was going to the store. But see, some people would take it as my husband or my wife is trying to keep tabs on me. If my wife is leaving work and I know it takes her a nice little time to get here, and if it's okay, like it's about to go on 7 o'clock, which I know what she's doing. But what I'm saying is watch this. I know where she left, but if I don't know where she's doing, I'm expecting her at a certain time, and you know, if not, I'm getting worried. So what's the next thing I'm gonna do? I'm gonna call. I'm gonna call because I don't need to text because she might be driving. You see what I'm saying? These are things inside of a marriage that you got to get used to. There's no more me. It's us. I'm committed to her. She's committed to me. We is one. You know, I don't think that when people sit down, I don't think they really hear to me. I think you really should go to the wedding vows. When they talk about to death do you part, to sickness, to health, to sickness and health, to all that, the riches and poor. I want to say a big shout out to my friend, my sister, Mildred Simone. She's my moderator, and she's my sister from another mother. And so, what you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, is that men and women, you got to understand that things change completely. Things change completely. But the question is, are you ready for the change? Are you ready for the change? There's decisions have to be made. Okay, say for instance, you both got houses. You got to sit down and say who's gonna move in with who. You both attend a church. Now here's the issue with that. Now you now in certain circumstances you might have to compromise, and the reason why I say is because of the religious beliefs. Okay, the religious beliefs, but it's always been known that the wife is supposed to follow the husband. The wife is supposed to follow the husband. Literally, this is I you know, she probably like this ain't what Rev said you talking about. But I believe I was led into another direction. Are you ready for the challenge? And the thing I wanted to say before I said that's why I feel like the marriage counselor, the person that's gonna marry you, okay, number one, they gotta be honest. But number two, they need to go over some stuff with you while you have their attention. I don't know if uh, uh, the preacher, I'm just gonna say the preacher is up there with you all. Do they really have your attention on stage or on the floor wherever you're at? Or you just googling eye, you got eye contact with the person you about to say I do, you know? Are you really listening to what the pastor is saying? So if they don't have your full attention, then what I say, what I say is that you as that counselor, go over them while you have their attention during the counseling sessions. And I think that every counseling session should take 90 days. 90 days. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Auto. Okay. Every counseling session should be at least 90 days before you buy anything. Before you buy a dress, before you rent a tuxedo, before you get that all 9 yards. Counsel first. Now, the counselor, watch this, the counselor has to be honest with you. The counselor has to be totally honest with you to say you're either ready or you're not. You don't want to hear on down the line. Okay, y'all think I'm playing. I've seen a couple that didn't marry, didn't last a month. And I'm wondering the person that counseled them, the marriage counselor, did he or she was honest with them? You know, because some of them get paid. Some of them get paid, nice little penny. But you know what? I'd rather make sure that you're ready than before we do all this. Because, okay, let's be honest. The wedding day, oh, it looks nice. It looks gorgeous. You coming out, you putting makeup on that you probably not put makeup on before. You got that person doing your hair. You got the best dress. The man got the best tuxedo and shoes and haircut. You got the photographer. You got this big old hall. Most nice banquet halls are gonna hit you for like $2,000 or more. I have a brother that is a decorator. Okay, he hit one of his packages, and he's probably on one of his packages is $3,000. Think it's a game. The photographer depends on you get and how long you want him. The photographer gonna hit you up for 1,500. You ain't gotta believe me. You ain't gotta believe that. Yeah. You ain't gotta believe me. But it's the truth. And as they say, the truth will set you free. Yeah. The truth will set you free, brothers and sisters. And then the food, most of the places with the food, with the food, they're going to charge you at least $20 to $50 a plate. You see where I'm going? So you spend all this money and you're not ready. That's another thing you gotta look at. Excuse me. You spend all this money and you're not ready. Whose fault is it? Are you ready to share? You know, one exercise I would like to do with a married couple, because I know a lot of married couples probably don't do this. You know, when I talk about communication and I say the full attention, how do you know you're giving a person full attention? You're looking them in the eye. So here's the exercise. For 5 seconds, I want you to look at just, yeah, I know they're going to blink, that's fine. For 5 seconds, I want you to stare in your spouse's eyes. For 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Y'all ready? That's what I'm going to do. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The question is, how did you feel? Was it something? Because here's the thing that you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, men and women. You're going to have to sometimes come out of that comfort zone. You got couples that's been married for a long time, and they're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. When sometimes you got to come out that comfort zone. I got to do something different. I got to do something different. Some couples won't even kiss each other in public. Some couples won't even hug each other in public. Some couples won't even hold hands in public. They won't show no kind of emotion, affection, or nothing. But while y'all was dating, y'all did all this. Yeah. While you guys were dating, while you guys were leading up to the relationship, maybe leading up to the marriage, you guys did this thing. But now that you're married, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I don't want to do that. Huh? I don't think that it's actually too much to hold hands. I don't think it's actually too much to kiss, to hug, to hold each other. If, I mean, you ain't just gonna get, as they say, already with it. But hey, but you did all this before. Certain things, even when you get married, you keep going. Like I said, date night. Okay, going to the drive-in, going to the maybe a baseball or football game, or just going to eat, or just say we gonna get rid of the children if you got some, you know, and we gonna put some steaks on the grill. Uh, everybody love chicken. They fry some chicken and some sides, and we gonna sit there. We gonna grab a movie, and watch it, or watch one of your favorite TV series. Yeah, and then here's the key thing. What is that movie? I think Tyler Perry came up with. It's a love movie. It's a love movie. I think it's called. Is it Boaz? I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think that's the name of it. But you know, uh, that's a very good movie to sit down after you sit down with it and talk about, discuss it. Me and my wife, we've been on a podcast. We've been on the podcast before. We talked about Steve Harvey's book that is a movie. What is it? Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Man. We discussed that book. You know, uh, and if you never read that book, you would be like, why Steve Harvey did that? But it's and other movies. And then see a lot of men be like, man, I'm not finna watch no love movie. I'm not finna do this. You gotta open up your options. You gotta explore. You gotta open up your options. You gotta explore. You gotta want to do these things and all that and more. You know. And let me tell you this much: don't just have God in present when when you just in the church. You really want your marriage to stay strong and run smooth? God should be the center point, solid like concrete inside your marriage. Because the pastor might not always feel that. The counselor, you might not can't afford it. See what I'm saying? Now, I will say, because I think some jobs, I know my job used to, some jobs have therapists and counselors that, you know, comes with your medical benefits and things like that. Um, and so it is good to get professional help. Never let nobody tell you is something wrong with professional help. Because let me say this: a lot of people don't want to, how they said, have a conversation with a professional person, or in confined in that person because they feel like they're gonna tell what you talked about. They are under what you call a HIPAA law. A HIPAA law. They can't even talk about it. When I used to work at the hospital, when we did orientation. One thing that they would show in orientation, they would show a video doing orientation. That on that video, they're gonna show you can't go to no party. You can't talk to your spouse. You can't do everything supposed to be confidential. And that person that talked with you and confided in you, they find out that you gave the personal information, or you broke the HIPAA law, they can sue you, and you can lose your job, you can lose your license. So always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind. and that is true. Believe it or not, always keep that in mind. That you could get that person and get so that you could go and sit down with them. Because sometimes I've learned that if both couples know the person you all about to sit down, sometimes they might not be neutral. They might be on one person's side. Like me, if I sat down with you, I would be neutral. I don't care how long I've been knowing you. I would be neutral. And I would tell you that from the beginning. I would be neutral. If I was counseling you and you said you said you want me to marry you, but I'm gonna be honest and upfront. We're gonna do homework. You're gonna do exercises. You're gonna do all that. I might have you meet in the park and do a picnic, and I sit back and watch. Are you just gonna sit there and eat? Are you gonna talk? Are you gonna enjoy each other's company? All that and more. That plays a part in it. You know, um, and that plays a part inside of So when we get done in those 90 days, I'm gonna either tell you, I'm gonna be honest and say, well, I don't know, I think y'all need a little bit more. Y'all not quite there yet. Or I might say, hey, you guys are ready. Because the first thing, a lot of counselors, a lot of people that's gonna marry you, the one thing they're gonna ask you, why do you want to marry that person? And you know why? The first answer they're gonna give you is, I love that person. That's it. I love that person. You know. But there's other things you gotta be prepared for. Like I said, are you ready to commit? Your commitment level starts after you say I do. The work starts after you say I do. You on lockdown. I'm not even like that. The work starts. The communication starts. My subject was really, and I'm not going to get to it tonight. I have to come back and revisit. My subject was having boundaries in the marriage. Having boundaries in the marriage. Yeah, and it talks about personal boundaries, emotional boundaries, technology boundaries, uh, communication boundaries. And like I said, it amazes me a lot of the subjects that I have came up with and did my studies on. They talk nothing else. Communication is in there somewhere. I want to one Thursday, and I think I'm gonna wait till the group we get together as a group. Like I told you, we get together one Thursday out of the month. I really wanted to get with the group, and I think we're gonna kick it off talking about the five love languages and what you think is weekend and what you're strong in. What's your weekend and what you're strong in, and all that, And so, and then asking yourself, are you willing to get strong in the areas that you're weak in? Every marriage, and not just the five love languages, but every marriage, you can honestly say to yourself, you be honest with yourself. There are some areas in the marriage that I need to strengthen, that I need to work on for myself. You look in the mirror and you say to yourself, there's some things I need to work on. There's some things that my spouse has said to me that I need to work on. My wife brought something to me this been years ago. And when she brought it to me, I never noticed it until she brought it to me. So I had to fix it. I had to do something until after she said something to me. And that's the thing that you got to bring it to your spouse's attention. And your spouse has to has to listen and take in consideration and change that. Change that thing. Turn that thing around. And saying that, hey, she brought this to my attention. He brought this to my attention. And now we need to work on it. Now I need to work on it. And I think I pray to God that I did do better after it was said. Because sometimes with with things being said, you be like, oh, she always said, oh, he always said that, and it goes in one and it come out the other. That's not a good thing. Because now you just blowing me off. Now you really don't care how I feel or what I'm saying. You know, you know, and so that's important. Again, that was not the route that I was going. Um, I think the Lord knew that the subject, the topic that I had, I was kind of struggling with. I'll be honest, you know, because I never talked about it before. And boundaries, what boundaries begin to have is limitations. There's limitations. There's limits. There's limitations when you talk about boundaries. Going so far, not to go too far. You know, not to go too far. Males not to go too far. Females not to go too far. Because why? I'm married. That's why you got to set priorities. You got to set boundaries, and you also got to set rules. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, if you, to me, this is one of the things that bother me. If you out with your friends, to me, there should be a decent time as being married to be back at home. There should be a decent time as being married, man and woman, to be back at home at a decent time. What that helps is to keep your spouse from wondering, for one, you know, and things, and things like that. And then setting rules at certain times. You got to push everything to the side for your spouse. I remember uh, when my wife had heart surgery, I had my mind already set. And I love going to church. Me and her both. We love attending church. We enjoy church. But one thing that I came up with, because if anybody knows that that has heart surgery, it's a slow healing process. Now with my wife, she her 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 healing process, to me, this just to me, went quicker than I've seen others. Okay, but it still was a process. I mean, if you listen to what the doctor had to do and all that, and so I said to myself, everything else is pushed to the side for her, and I had to do stuff, more than what I normally do, like cook and other things. Make sure. I mean, I've never back then cooked breakfast. I think much as I did. Yeah, I had to get up, and thank God, breakfast don't take long, especially when you buy certain things. But guess what? If I'm married, I'm committed to her. I could have easily left. I could have easily went and did what I wanted to do. But no, no. I would sit here on the couch next to her until she finally called it a night. Then I would call it a night. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the commitment that I had for her. Because guess what? If I don't know nothing else, I know that she would do the same thing for me, and I think I'm out of time. I've been out of time. I'm 2 minutes over. I'm 2 minutes over. And so, again, I want to thank everybody um, for tuning in. I want to thank my moderator on TikTok uh, for tuning in. Like I said, I'm out of time, of course. I didn't know. I got excited. Uh, like I said, every first Thursday of the month, we're going to call ourselves, I'll just say, the Four Horsemen. So me and my wife and the Douglases, Kendall and Michelle, and we will have something for you all. Like I said, eventually we want to do a live show. So what that entails, we're going to have other married couples come to the podcast, and we'll do like a little Q&A, and we'll do some other stuff. I would like to give little prizes out, and things like that. But that's on down the line. I don't know if it's going to be this year or into the next year. Hopefully, we can pull it off this year. I would like to. things like that. Also would like to do a marriage workshop, marriage seminar, where other people come in and they talk, and not just me, but come in and talk and all that. But you know, that's down the line. And eventually network with other couples, other podcasts. I know Lonnie Crawford and her husband do a podcast, and they might be willing to come down and talk to us and things like that. So I'm out of time. Thank you all for listening. I love you all with the love of God and me. Thank everybody on YouTube. Thank everybody on TikTok. And thank everybody on Facebook. And hopefully next week I can get back to the studio to get things going the way that I want. Amen.